Hi, I'm John from Baghead Amps, and I'm here today to talk to you about the Cub 40R USA Player Series, which happens to be one of my favorite amps in the whole line. The basics of it, it's available in two configurations. It can be two EL34 power tubes, 40 watt, or two EL84 power tubes, 15 watt. You can get it in a head, you can get it in a 112 combo, or 212 combo, or extension cabinet, whatever you need. First off, it's a very simple single channel amp. It has a foot switchable V1 preamp. So you can use in 12AX7, which is a traditional preamp tube, or an EF86, which was used in the early Vox designs of the 60s. It's a little more aggressive, it has a lot more gain and a little more high end and low end on tap. So that's switchable in V1. Then you got basic standard Bad Cat tone stack with a fat boost, which the fat boost, what it does is it floods the tone stack with your guitar signal, so it makes it more drastic, more gainy, more fat, everything. With our digital reverb, next up is the Cud feature, which is essentially a high-end roll-off in the power section. So it kind of behaves like a treble knob actually in this amp. It rounds out the front panel with our K-Master volume, which is an active master volume circuit which sits after the phase inverter in the power section of the amp. So you can actually push the preamp, push the front end of the power amplifier to get that kind of fat power tube distortion, but you'll obtain that at a very low volume that you can play in the house and not piss anybody off. On the back panel, you've got an effects loop, send and return, 4, 8, 16 ohm switch on the back, so you can run extension cabinets or different cabinets. It has an extension cabinet output. There's a foot switch, on-off standby, real simple back panel. I'd like to take the next few minutes to sort of show you what this thing can do. So I've got my Les Paul, middle position in the pickup. Going into the 12AX7, the fat boost is off. Got it in a relatively clean setting here, so you can kind of hear what this thing sounds like. Now I'm going to bring in the fat boost so you can kind of hear what that does. Off. On. Now in the same setting, I'll bring in the EF86. AX7. EF86. I'll bring in some more gain here so you can hear what this thing does. What's nice about this amp though is it's extremely touch sensitive. To give you an example of that here, I'll show you. One neat trick with this amp though is when you're going to gain it up quite a bit, like say around say 2 or 3 o'clock, so it's some pretty heavy, you know, good 70s kind of rock gain. So in a double coil pickup, you might get a bit kind of muddy and the chords don't necessarily come through, right? You can take the treble, and the treble knob on the Bad Cat tone stack doesn't necessarily add treble and high end. What it does is it reduces low end and mids. So you can kind of thin the tone out a little bit, like. So even gained up with a double coil pickup, You're going to get those kind of, all the notes in the chord kind of coming through. Which is kind of nice in a live setting. And if you feel like the amp is a little too bright, you can back that off on the cut knob here. That's an extreme. And the other thing I like about this amp is it's extremely versatile. So it goes all the way from like sparkling, clean, and punchy, all the way through, and I'll show you, one of the questions I get asked a lot is how much gain does this thing have on tap? And I'll show you here wide open essentially. Gives you an idea. So one thing worth noting here is the amp being cathode biased, sort of class A, if you will. What's nice about it is if you want to change power tubes, you don't need to take it to a tech to get that done. It's just plug and play, self-biasing. So if you want to change out to a different set of EL34s, just pull those out, pop the new ones in, and you're good to go. Unlike sort of the grid biased amps where you have to take them to a tech and have somebody, turn a screwdriver for you. It's much more convenient to replace those. Now, that being said, one of the advantages of cathode biased amps are, in my opinion, is they tend to have a lot more harmonic content and a lot of things kind of swirling around, particularly when you gain them up. And I think you're gonna have a lot more fun when you turn these things up loud. So, again, one of the things I like most about this amp is that it goes all the way from like sparkling, clean, and punchy, all the way through kind of thick, beefy, high gain. And everything in between, and particularly in between is where it really, I think, shines the most. And to show you some more of that, I'm going to grab a Strat here in a second. Just quickly here, I'd like to show you how I use this thing typically in a band setting. By using the foot switch and engaging and disengaging the EF86 and the fat boost, you can take this thing all the way from, something like this. To this. And in between. And that's going from, everything disengaged to the EF86 to the fat boost and both engaged back and forth. And it gives you a lot of options for playing lead solos and crunchy distortion rhythm parts and clean rhythm parts. It's a lot of fun for a single channel amp. One of the tricks with this amp that I'm rather fond of is it's essentially a Vox-based circuit, cathode biased, EL34, but it's very capable of getting vintage blackface kind of sounds. And that trick is achieved by using the treble knob to kind of scoop out that mid. You can gain it up a bit to kind of get more of a country rock kind of a sound. Or a warm blues. You bring in the EF86, a little more gain. Turn it down a little bit. Work your way into more kind of Blackmore kind of sound. Even higher gain. that kind of shows what you can do, all the way from sort of clean, sparkly, all the way through kind of higher gain, even with a single coil pickup on a Stratocaster. And for that reason, this amp is probably one of my favorites because of its versatility. It just does everything. And in a simple kind of single channel package, so it's not 14 channels and 35 different modes. It's very simple to use. And again, probably my favorite amp in the line. If you have any comments, please leave them in the comments below. And thank you for watching.